Hello everyone, welcome to Desert Succulent, and today we're going to be talking about Crassula perforata, or commonly known as the string of buttons or the barbecue succulent. This kind of succulent is very easy to care for and it actually complements many other succulents, especially if nakalagay siya sa isang arrangement or mga garden dish. It is also considered as one of the best terrarium na mga succulents. It has a lot of different common names such as string of buttons, baby's necklace, necklace vine, stacked crassula, and the pagoda plant. This succulent has stems and leaves that look like they are stacked on top of each other. Ayan siya. So patong-patong lang siyang ganyan. And as you would notice, it seems like may pattern yung pag-grow ng kanyang leaves. So for example, this one, pag ganyan, yung kanyang growth, then yung next would be like this. Our string of buttons are relatively fast growing as compared to other succulents, and they have this kind of short leaves that are a little bit triangular in shape, especially if top view makita ninyo yung kanyang triangular na shape. The color of its leaves is greenish to grayish, and it actually spirals around each stem. The edges of the leaf are what make this succulent spectacular kasi nga, you would notice that it has this rosy pink na color around its edges. Ayan, especially if this one is a stressed na succulent. So you would really appreciate more itong kanyang leaf margins. You would see it like that. It really gives a beautiful contrast sa kanyang grayish-green na leaf. Depending on their growing environment, they may also have these small pink or white na dots scattered along the margins of the leaf. And here, I have a lot of them. Mga dots niya are very evident sa pinaka-top na mga leaves, probably because of the sun. But if you're gonna be going sa pinakababang layer, you would notice that hindi masyadong katingkad yung kanyang leaf margins and including the dots, probably because the lower parts are not receiving sufficient sunlight as compared dito sa taas where it's really receiving full sunlight. The mature size in terms of height of this succulent is about 30 centimeters to 60 centimeters, and I have here my mother plant sa likod. If we will try to measure the length of this mother succulent, more or less nasa 20 centimeters pa lang siya. So just imagine that it could be even longer than this one, since ang mature height nga nila is about 60 centimeters and it can also spread up to 90 centimeters. Ganon yung potential growth nitong ating mga string of buttons. That's why they are preferred for every type of landscaping, especially that they can be a good border plant or as a ground cover. Pag lumaki pa ito, it would eventually bend and it could be a perfect for hanging baskets. With regards sa kanilang light requirement, they thrive or they do best in full sun, but they will also do just fine in partial sun. But we will obtain a better leaf color when the plant has full sun, and in very hot locations, it will need some shade, especially in the afternoon kasi yung ideal na temperature range niya is from 18 degrees to 21 degrees centigrade. With this string of buttons, nakalagay siya dun sa ating rain or shine na area where it receives about 8 hours of sunlight every day. Before putting this dun sa ating rain or shine na succulent, it is just all green. But then lately, I realized na if we continuously expose it to direct sun, then it will be having this sun stress na color. In terms of their soil, the most important thing to consider is it should be well draining. You would be expecting that this succulent will give you a star-shaped and yellow flowers, and they appear in small clusters. And yung kanyang flowers actually randomly bloom almost any time of the year. So it would just give you a surprise that suddenly nag-bloom na ulit siya. Every string of button succulent should be watered only when the soil has dried out kasi overwatering is very fatal to these plants, and if you will be potting it in containers, we should never let the string of buttons sit in water. So even if you will be trying to dig in to check nga yung first inch ng kanyang soil, you would see na dry na rin siya. Kaya this is the best time for us to water this. We need to watch out for aphids, mealybugs, and vine weevil since this succulent is prone to those kind of pests. If you're not familiar with vine weevil, it is a kind of insect that has a narrow snout and they are considered herbivorous, or they love to feed on plants. The string of buttons plant is easy to propagate from offsets, division, and leaf cuttings. We will be doing our stem cuttings. We have to remember that the lower parts of older stems are too woody to propagate, or medyo matigas na siya, as you can see here. Ganyan ang itsura niya, nag-brown na siya. Yeah, so very woody na siya. And it is better to take cuttings from higher up the stem kung saan nga na it's not woody. For example, dito sa pinakataas na stem, it is not dehydrated, and we really need to look for a stem that is juicy with good color. So pag for example, kinat natin to, there is like some water still sa kanyang stem as compared nga dito sa pinakababa na if you will be cutting this one, it would probably be very dry since these are the old stems already. We will be cutting it here. You would see na yung kanyang stem sa loob is still greenish in color and it's still juicy. Itong ating mga string of buttons ay mabagal magkaroon ng roots, so you need to be extra patient. And in order for you to have a faster way of rooting this one, it helps if we will be removing itong pinaka lower na leaf. If you will be removing the leaf of the succulent, all you need to do is to twist it. Ganyan lang siya. And so makikita ninyo, natanggal na siya sa kanyang pinaka stem. And you can easily put it back if you want. Ayan, diba? So tatanggalin lang natin ganyan. It really helps na nagtatanggal tayo ng leaf kasi yung node na ito, dyan tutubo yung ating mga bagong roots. So we will try to remove another. So again, we will just twist it gently. Ayan, then we will just pull it. Ayan, diba? So doon niya nakuha yung kanyang pangalan na barbecue kasi literally we can put it back again if we want to. We will be air drying this for 3 to 5 days, up to 7 days. Then after that one, we are now ready to plant it sa kanyang soil mix. With regards sa kanilang leaves, I haven't tried propagating them using itong ating mga leaves, but we will be saving this one. We will treat it as a typical succulent leaf. And let's see if magkakaroon ba ng new offsets out of this hole dito sa gitna. We are not really sure about that one, so I will be giving you an update in the future just in case na nagkaroon ng offsets dito sa kanyang leaves. With regards sa repotting of this succulent, we really don't need to repot this plant very often, especially nga na yung kanyang growth is vertical. So even if nakalagay lang siya sa maliit na pot and madami na siyang stems and new growth sa taas, that's okay kasi pa-vertical naman yung tubo nila, unlike sa ibang succulents na talagang pa-horizontal yung kanilang growth. So for this, we will not be repotting it, but for this, we will be repotting it today since my primary concern nga is yung kanyang poor na soil. It is best that we will be repotting our succulents or this string of buttons during the warmer na weather, but here in the Philippines, it's always warm all year round naman. So repotting our succulents is not a big deal. It's not really that seasonal. So grooming wise, we just need to remove itong ating mga dried leaves. Yung mga black na yan nakikita ninyo are all dried leaves sa bottom part. As you can see, we have a new offset na tumutubo sa lower part ng kanyang stem. And we also have this one. Ito yung mga dead leaves, old leaves. We need to remove. Finally done with our repotting. All we need to do is put this in a bright shaded area for the next 2 weeks and watering after 2 weeks. One of the most common question about this is bakit namamatay yung inyong perforata or yung inyong string of buttons? Probably because of root rot. Ayan. Ang ating mga root rot kasi nagde-develop siya from prolonged exposure sa standing water, and it is fine if you will be putting a lot of water sa ating mga succulents, including this string of buttons. But it is essential that it quickly and thoroughly drains from the bottom of the container. Kasi pag hindi, then doon nga tayo nagkakaroon ng ating root rot. And how would you know if may root rot yung inyong mga succulent? Typically, yung kanilang stems, leaves, and roots will turn brown or black, and they will also be mushy. So you always need to look for those signs sa inyong mga succulents. And if you usually discover na may root rot yung inyong mga succulent, then it's already too late to save the plant. So it's always best na prevention is always better than cure, diba? Don't overwater your succulents. And that's all for our care guide. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You may also visit our Facebook page at Desert Succulent PH.